Next, I'd like to introduce our first graduate speaker, an extraordinary young lady who's not only overcome blindness, but has an incredible story to tell you all about how she did it with her dog, Kegan. Please come up to the stage, Marin.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi. Down. My name is Marin Baumer, and I'm so excited to be here today to share my story and experience with Guiding Eyes for the Blind. I lost my sight in May of 2019, shortly after graduating from University of Miami with a bachelor's degree in psychology and a job with Teach for America. As you can imagine, I was extremely eager to get my new life started as a working independent adult and found myself packing my car full of all of my belongings and my adorable dog, Louie, and hitting the road. We drove the 20 hours straight from Miami, Florida to Philadelphia, where we would meet my boyfriend, Wesley, and begin our search for apartments. On the morning of May 31st, 2019, I was sitting in the passenger's side with my dog on my lap while my boyfriend, Wesley, drove. We had just looked at a couple of apartments and decided to drive past the school I would be teaching at before heading home. The last concrete memory I have is texting my dad about the apartment we had just seen while watching my boyfriend drive. We were on the highway, and in a matter of milliseconds, a bolt flew through the front windshield and hit me directly in the face. I lost my sight, smell, and broke many bones in my face immediately upon impact. I was airlifted to Jefferson Memorial Hospital, where an amazing staff of doctors and nurses spent 2.5 weeks putting me back together again. During my time at Jefferson Memorial Hospital, I worked alongside multiple teams of doctors and nurses, as well as spending some time at Wills Eye Hospital. 10 days after arriving, my breathing tube had been removed and I started to gain consciousness again. While in the intensive care unit and on a ventilator, my dad had gone down to the gift shop and purchased a journal. My parents explained that while in my hospital room, they would play music, and I kept tapping my foot to let them know whether to change the song. So they decided to give me pen and paper. I wrote many letters and notes in this journal, most of them incoherent and very difficult to understand, but some of them were jarring to hear read back to me. There were two things I was adamant about. One was that I would have a color of the year if the doctor's results wound up being that I had lost all of my sight, and I would have this color of the year every year. The second being that I would do everything I possibly could to get a guide dog. When I look back at this time in my life, I remember feeling extremely hopeless at everything I had lost. I couldn't even begin to understand what life with a visual impairment would entail. And I needed something to hope for, and that's exactly what a guide dog became. My dad, growing up, had a stuffed animal, yellow lab, named Samson, and I decided that when I got my guide dog, his name would be Samson. And almost 2 years exactly to the day in which I lost my sight, I received the greatest gift of my life, a beautiful yellow lab who you see up on stage with me, named Kegan, or as my family and friends know him, Samson. After my accident, I began working with the Miami Lighthouse 3 days a week, learning orientation and mobility. Just a couple months after starting, we decided to submit my application to Guiding Eyes for the Blind, and I had the pleasure of meeting with the Florida representative, Dave Hagman, on October 15th, 2019. Okay. It had only been 4.5 months since my accident, but I was extremely eager to meet Dave and discuss the next steps for getting a guide dog. Dave explained that my cane skills were coming along, but that I should continue working with the Lighthouse on my orientation and mobility and keep in touch with Guiding Eyes. Unfortunately, that March, as we all know, the pandemic hit, and all of our realities were changed drastically. Guiding Eyes for the Blind did an amazing job of keeping me up to date, and I had the pleasure of speaking with Sue Dampier from the admissions office on multiple occasions. During the pandemic, my boyfriend and I decided to move from my family home in Miami, Florida, to our own house in Naples, Florida. This not only gave me the time and space to further develop my independent skills with someone as a visual impairment, but it also helped me gain confidence. In April of 2021, I received a call from Sue Dampier, who let me know that there was a spot open in the May 2021 class if I would like to join. To say that I did not hesitate would be an understatement. The one thing that I had worked so hard for and waited so long for finally came, and all of the excitement fogged my judgment. I didn't think about how it would be the first time I was traveling alone with a visual impairment, or my first time sleeping somewhere overnight by myself, or even my first time learning a whole new environment without the help of my family or friends. All I could think about was meeting my new best friend the next day. When I first got to New York, I was met by 2 Guiding Eyes staff who took me back to campus, where I met Karen Fellows, my instructor. Karen showed me my dorm room and gave me a tour of the campus before giving me some time to settle in and get adjusted. Later that afternoon, I met with Lisa, the other person in class with me, and we were shown how to put on the different collars and shorten and extend our leather leash. We also did something with Karen called a Juno walk, where she held on to a dog harness and we walked alongside her. This not only helped us get acquainted with working with a guide dog, but it helped her best determine which dog to match us with. Trying to fall asleep my first night at Guiding Eyes for the Blind was near impossible. I was up and ready at 5 a.m. the next morning, and we met for breakfast at 8. They gave us our dogs' names, and we were instructed to go back to our rooms and wait to meet them. I remember sitting on my bed. I could hear the pitter-patter of all the little dog paws in the hallway and the excitement as they got to meet their new owners. When Kegan was first brought into my room, he began licking my face, and I couldn't help but cry and laugh ecstatically. It's very difficult to put this moment into words because I'd never felt such an overwhelming feeling of pure joy. During my time at Guiding Eyes for the Blind, there would be many instances where I would feel this way. We did so many things that I could never imagine myself doing with a visual impairment, and we did them successfully. We went on long walks against the Hudson River, and we let the dogs go on the beach and swim in the water. We went on hiking trails, and Kegan put his big, wet little nose down on every tree root and step in my path. But one of the most gratifying experiences was running for the first time. Lisa and I both decided to sign up for the running program, and we spent one day running around a 2-mile loop. It had almost been over 2 years since the last time I ran, so I'm sure I did not look as graceful as I pictured myself. But I do know that my smile never left my face. During my time at Guiding Eyes for the Blind, I kept in touch with family and friends every single day, sending them pictures and videos of what Kegan and I were up to. Receiving my first guide dog was not only a momentous occasion for myself, but for my family as well. Kegan was something we all hoped and prayed for, and he became the guiding light in my life. Guiding Eyes for the Blind took the time to set me up with the perfect partner, but they also take the time to set you up with your perfect instructor. Karen was my resource for understanding how to succeed as a working guide dog user, but she also became my friend. Every day training did not feel like work, it felt like fun. With all of the outstanding and amazing resources on campus, it wasn't long before Kegan and I adjusted to our new routine at Guiding Eyes. And I adjusted even quicker to the amazing food that Josh, Jerome, and the whole kitchen staff were producing. Guiding Eyes for the Blind does an amazing job of giving you an environment that you can succeed in and do it independently. Just 11 days after arriving at Guiding Eyes for the Blind, Kegan and I were Naples bound. We spent our first summer on the Jersey Shore, kayaking, sailing, and going on long beach walks. It wasn't long before he knew all the routes to my friends' houses and how to get me back and forth from the yacht club for dinner and lunch. In December of 2021, my boyfriend and I decided to move from our home in Naples, Florida, to an apartment in Miami. Kegan has adjusted quickly to the new building and all of his dog friends there, and I think his favorite part is having my family nearby. We get to spend Sundays there, and he gets to run around in the yard with the other 4 dogs, and will find just about any excuse to jump in the pool. Having Kegan in my life has not only given me independence, but has motivated me to challenge myself more. Kegan and I walk a little bit over a mile 3 times a week to a jiu-jitsu gym right by our apartment, where I'm able to learn how to defend myself. And one of his favorite outings is going to our favorite restaurant in the neighborhood with my dad on a weekly basis. But in all of the ways that Kegan accommodates my visual impairment, his unconditional love and empathy outweighs it all. He is the perfect companion for speaking events like this because he gets me where I need to go, but he also gives me so much self-confidence and emotional security. Having Kegan in my life has changed everything for the better. Before having him, I relied heavily on my use of a cane, paying very close attention to every single noise my cane tip would make or all the noises around me. But now I just have to ensure that he's paying attention and trust his judgment. It's not to say that working with a guide dog is an easy feat, but it is to say that working with Kegan changed everything I knew about traveling with a visual impairment. I have plans to pursue a mental health counseling degree, and I know that Kegan will help me every step of the way. I also have plans to work with Jersey Mike Subs as a motivational speaker in high schools next year, and I know that Kegan will be the best guy to bring me out on stage. On May 21st, 2021, I flew home with a new best friend and partner in crime, but I also flew home with more independence than I could have ever imagined. It's really difficult to put into words how grateful I am for the amazing people who work day in and day out at Guiding Eyes, and all of the people who donate and make such a remarkable cause possible. Thank you so much.